They don't appear in public records. No office, no building, no official history, and yet their fingerprints are everywhere. Wars sparked, regimes toppled, scientists vanished, assassinations with no suspects, operations with no sponsors. They are known only by a code whispered across military briefings and redacted cables. Department 77, a unit without a country, without a flag, operating in the shadows between governments, corporations, and the deep void of plausible deniability. Today, we follow the trail through declassified fragments, strange disappearances, and the testimony of those who knew too much. We don't promise answers, only a chance to ask the questions they don't want you to ask. Welcome to Facts on Trial. This is the story of Department 77. If you go looking for Department 77 in any official government record, you won't find it. Not in the CIA's black budget, not in the Pentagon's covert units, not even in the archived Cold War files that once tracked everything from psychic spies to weather control. But scratch beneath the surface, and you'll find something strange. In 1977, a declassified NSA memo, heavily redacted, mentioned a non-aligned operations wing coordinating with unnamed NATO observers during the final years of the Vietnam War. One line stood out. It read, "Confirm D-77 protocols active in Zone Echo." That phrase, D-77 protocols, has since appeared in at least 6 different leaked documents over 4 decades, always linked to operations that were never officially acknowledged. So what is Department 77? Where did it come from? Some say it was born out of Operation Gladio, the post-World War II network of stay-behind armies secretly trained by NATO and the CIA to resist Soviet invasion. Others believe it evolved from paperclip offshoots, rogue scientists relocated after the war, whose work never made it into the official files. But the most persistent legend is even older. It claims that Department 77 traces its origins not to America or the Soviet Union, but to an elite Vatican intelligence cell formed during the Inquisition, a group tasked with gathering forbidden knowledge, containing dangerous relics, and erasing anything that could not be controlled. A secret that traveled through centuries, morphing through different names and missions, until in the chaos of the Cold War it became what it is today, a ghost department, a silent hand behind global events. There are no photos, no confirmed members, just stories. And one of those stories begins in Berlin, 1982, when a physicist named Jens Richter disappeared after reportedly contacting an unknown agency offering him access to deeper truths. His lab was found empty, his research gone. All that remained was a torn envelope with one stamp, D77. Every so often, a name surfaces. A scientist, a technician, a military contractor, someone who whispers too loudly or vanishes too quietly. In 1994, Dr. Emil Varga, a Hungarian-born physicist contracted by the European Space Agency, claimed during a closed-door symposium in Geneva that he had seen time-locked data, photographs, showing events before they happened. When pressed, he referenced a trans-temporal relay system housed beneath religious jurisdiction. The next morning, Varga's hotel room was empty. He was never seen again. In 2003, Lucien Dupont, a French software engineer who had worked on classified NATO satellite protocols, uploaded fragments of corrupted code to a private server. Within that code were references to something called Chronogate 77, a strange series of timestamps, some dated years into the future. The upload was deleted within hours. Dupont disappeared that same week while hiking in the Alps. Local police chalked it up to an accident, but his family received an anonymous postcard 6 months later. It read only, "D77 safeguards time. You should not have looked." But perhaps the most compelling account came in 2015. A former Vatican archivist who went only by the alias Frater Alias contacted an Italian investigative journalist named Gianni Balestra. Alias claimed to have handled documents that described a Dipartimento 77, Department 77, operating from beneath Castel Gandolfo, the Pope's summer residence. According to Alias, the department's purpose was not political, but metaphysical. Its mission? To monitor temporal breaches, to store non-linear testimonies, to preserve divine events from distortion. He said he had seen footage, real-time projections of the crucifixion, a visual log of the Council of Nicaea, and perhaps most chilling, glimpses of events yet to come. Alias fled Italy shortly after that interview, Balestra's report was published. Within 48 hours, his website was taken offline under a European anti-misinformation directive. No reason given, no appeal offered. When asked by other journalists what happened, Balestra responded simply, "I saw what he showed me, and I will never sleep the same again." What kind of machine could see through time, and why would such a device be hidden in the heart of the Vatican? They call it the chronovisor, an alleged device capable of tuning into past events, like a cosmic radio pulling signals from history itself. Not a time machine in the traditional sense, but a temporal viewer. A window, not a doorway. The first public whispers of this machine came from Father Pellegrino Ernetti, a Benedictine monk and physicist who claimed to have helped build the chronovisor in the 1950s alongside a secret team of 12 scientists, including Enrico Fermi and Werner von Braun. According to Ernetti, the machine functioned by detecting the residual electromagnetic echoes of all events, based on the belief that light and sound never truly vanish. They merely disperse. The chronovisor, he claimed, could isolate and reconstruct these waves, reassembling them into living, moving images of the past. In one chilling account, Ernetti described watching the crucifixion of Christ, not a reenactment, not a painting, but a live feed of a moment long buried beneath centuries. According to him, the device had captured the actual face of Jesus, a black and white image of a man in agony, unlike any icon ever painted. That photo, allegedly leaked in 1972, remains one of the most controversial images in religious history. Some called it a fake, others called it heresy, and some Vatican insiders, speaking anonymously, claimed the original image still exists, locked inside a reinforced archive 77 meters below St. Peter's Basilica. But the chronovisor is only one piece. There are whispered accounts of portable relics housed within Department 77's custody, items allegedly recovered from early Christianity, ancient Egypt, or even Atlantis, each bearing strange quantum anomalies. One Vatican insider described a bronze cross that emitted a low harmonic hum only in pitch-black silence. Another artifact, said to be a scroll wrapped in human skin, was reported to contain pre-Aramaic symbols that shimmered faintly under ultraviolet light, despite being dated to 2000 BC. Still others speak of the Astrarium Codex, an encrypted manual passed down between Renaissance alchemists and Jesuit archivists, allegedly used to calibrate the chronovisor during solstices and celestial alignments, only readable during equinoxes, only functional beneath sacred ground. And then there are the machine parts. In 1991, a Vatican-contracted repair specialist under the name Marco R. claimed he was flown into a secret vault in Rome. There, he was asked to examine a copper sphere with strange inscriptions and internal wiring that didn't correspond to any known technology. When he asked who manufactured it, a cloaked figure simply replied, "It was found, not built." Marco was given a dose of lorazepam and placed under oath. He never spoke publicly again. But in 2004, he sent a single encrypted message to a journalist friend. "The machine listens, even when off." In the world of intelligence, alliances are fluid, but secrets are permanent. And some secrets are so potent, entire governments would kill to keep them buried. At the center of this tangled web sits the Vatican, not just as a religious institution, but as an observer state, a sovereign entity with embassies, intelligence liaisons, and classified networks stretching across the globe. Within its inner walls, Department 77 reportedly does not act alone. It interfaces, quietly, with external actors, NATO operatives, former KGB archivists, and private military contractors with ties to MI6, the CIA, and Mossad. But why? One theory: Department 77 controls pre-modern knowledge capable of influencing modern warfare, ancient sciences, energy techniques, even predictive models of social collapse. In 1983, an anonymous source from Langley leaked a memo referring to the Codex M Group, allegedly Vatican-linked researchers using encrypted biblical numerology to forecast political unrest in the Middle East. The CIA later dismissed it as fiction. But a second leak confirmed the same code appeared in a DARPA study on predictive chaos algorithms used in counterinsurgency modeling. That was no coincidence. Inside the intelligence community, the Vatican has long been regarded as a black vault of metadata, a centuries-old surveillance system built on confessions, missionary reports, intercepted letters, and thousands of secret witnesses embedded across colonies and courts. They called it the silent cartography. But things changed after 1989, the fall of the Berlin Wall. Suddenly, operatives began vanishing. A wave of unexplained deaths rocked both sides of the Cold War divide. A Soviet archivist in Kiev found burned in his apartment. A British field linguist collapsed during a live broadcast. And in Rome, a young priest named Don Carlucci was discovered floating face down in the Tiber, with a sealed envelope clutched in his hand. Inside that envelope, a single Latin phrase scrawled in black ink: Deus non computat secundum modum hominum. God does not calculate as man does. According to former Israeli intelligence analyst Yael Bannon, this marked the beginning of the Shadow War, an unspoken battle between secular intelligence services and religious keepers of knowledge. The stakes? Control of information that could rewrite history itself. One document uncovered by WikiLeaks in 2010 referenced a covert exchange between a Vatican emissary and a U.S. defense attaché. The topic? Photographic evidence of pre-deluge architecture beneath Antarctic ice. It was classified under Operation Vox Ignis, and it disappeared 2 days later. From the outside, the Vatican appears serene, timeless. But beneath its floors and gilded domes, a silent war rages for the very soul of time itself. Beneath the marbled corridors of Vatican City, beneath the archives sealed by centuries of silence, lies knowledge not meant for the world above. Not yet, and perhaps not ever. These are not just lost scrolls or heretical gospels. They are maps, artifacts, records, and diagrams, blueprints that could rewrite theology and rewire the very structure of history. In 1944, during World War II, a covert Nazi unit known as the Ahnenerbe raided monasteries in northern Italy, searching for what they described as pre-Christian seismic glyphs. What they found has never been made public, but the Vatican knew. The few surviving records of the incident were quietly absorbed, reportedly by Department 77, and sealed under a new classification: Archivum Maledictum, the Cursed Archive. Among the items said to be stored in this hidden wing are the chronovisor fragments, blueprints for a machine allegedly built in the 1950s by a Benedictine monk and an Italian physicist capable of tuning into moments from the past through quantum resonance. The Book of Enoch, Ethiopian edition, an unabridged version including visions of angels with machines of fire, describing underground cities and time gates beneath the earth. Project Palestrina, a set of acoustic experiments said to have replicated divine frequency states using Gregorian chant and architectural vibration chambers. Many believe these items were collected not out of curiosity, but fear. Fear that if these records reached the public, the myth of linear history would unravel. We are taught to see history as a steady march. But what if, buried beneath our assumptions, is an entirely different chronology? A parallel truth where early civilizations harnessed unknown energies. Spiritual experiences were not hallucinations, but altered states induced by sacred architecture. And some religious rituals were designed not just for worship, but for control. This is what Department 77 is accused of knowing and protecting, and in some cases, suppressing. In 2002, a French researcher named Louis Fauchot was found dead in a Rome hotel after claiming he had deciphered an ancient Vatican cipher pointing to a hidden underground complex beneath the Alban Hills. No official autopsy was released. His notes confiscated. By whom? No one knows. But leaked testimony from an unnamed priest suggests that what Fauchot discovered was an archive beneath the archive, a vault that predates the church itself, a relic of pre-flood civilization. So why all the secrecy? Why would a religious institution, whose core message is light and truth, keep such truths locked away? Some say it's for the good of humanity. Others say it's about power. Control the past, and you control belief. Control belief, and you control civilization. The legend of Department 77 did not fade into history. Instead, it lurks in the shadows of the modern Vatican, whispered about in secret meetings and cloaked by layers of bureaucratic opacity. Officially, Department 77 does not exist. It is a phantom in the Vatican's sprawling administrative labyrinth. Yet former insiders, whistleblowers, and investigative journalists point to a clandestine cell within the Holy See's intelligence apparatus, a group tasked with monitoring, censoring, and containing information deemed too dangerous for the public eye. Their tools are as varied as their mission. From digital surveillance and cyber operations to psychological operations targeting academics and clergy who dare to question orthodoxy. Over the past 2 decades, several Vaticanologists and independent researchers who have attempted to expose the existence or activities of Department 77 have reported harassment, threats, and discredit campaigns. Documents leaked in 2015 hinted at budget allocations for archival security enhancement and specialized investigative units under a cryptic code name consistent with Department 77's presumed activities. A former Vatican archivist who spoke on condition of anonymity described a culture of fear and obedience where curiosity is seen as subversion. But is Department 77 merely a myth or a necessary institution guarding sacred secrets? The truth is murky. Some theologians argue that the Vatican has a duty to protect the faithful from knowledge that could fracture belief and incite chaos. Others warn that such secrecy only fuels suspicion, conspiracy, and mistrust. Meanwhile, new technologies threaten to expose more than ever before. Hackers claiming ties to anonymous and other activist collectives have announced plans to breach Vatican databases, seeking to liberate the archives and expose their contents. How far will the Church go to defend its hidden vaults? The saga of Department 77 is emblematic of a broader struggle, the clash between ancient secrecy and modern transparency. It is a reminder that history is not just about what is recorded, but what is deliberately erased. The Vatican's secret archives, and the shadowy Department 77 said to guard them, pose difficult questions. What truths are worth hiding? Who decides what the public can handle? And what happens when forbidden knowledge finally sees the light? As technology accelerates and the demand for transparency grows louder, the fate of these secrets hangs in the balance. The question remains, will the gates of silence finally open, or will the Vatican's most guarded mysteries remain locked away forever? This concludes our investigation into Department 77, the Vatican's secret keeper of forbidden knowledge.